Masculine Mindset Show. It's Adam Skoda here with my buddy Mike Nova from The Courageous Man again. I'm excited today because we're going to talk about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and how it can help with improving masculinity, confidence, and how to prevent fights. And more importantly, he's a black belt, and I honestly want Mike to um, tell the listeners today like what he's learned from BJJ, and more importantly, like how how he feels it can help masculinity and self defense in preventing fights. So the floor is yours, Mike.
All right, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me again. Oh, where to begin? So I started jujitsu probably about 12 years ago, um, right after I graduated pharmacy school. Decided I wanted to get into some. And what's great about jujitsu is that you don't have to have any prior training or any type of background. I hadn't done any type of martial arts in my previous years. Just got to make sure you find a good school. Um, what I would do is I would check out a few places. Obviously, you can just go on Google, look up reviews, go check it out. Most places will give you like a free trial. You can do maybe a couple days or a week and just kind of get the vibe of the place, honestly. Just see how you interact with the people, make sure they're nice. I mean, there's a lot of jujitsu schools that are really focused on competition and are really fierce. And a lot of the guys, when you go in there, um, they really they really push you. And I don't know if it depends on what you're looking for, but if you're just looking kind of being a hobbyist like I am, I'm more of a hobbyist than a huge competitor because I use jujitsu mainly for personal reasons like health, exercise, building muscle, camaraderie. I do it for those reasons and also self-defense. So if you're doing it like that for me and you train maybe 3 or 4 times a week, you're going to want a place that's maybe a little bit less hardcore competition wise, because there are going to be places like that. When you go in there, you can injure yourself if you're not really careful. So you want to judge the places that way. So the school I go to is actually called Gracie Baja, one of the original schools created by one of the members of the Gracie family.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and you can look up the history of BJJ, kind of develop. It actually came from Japan. The the founder, Helio Gracie of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, learned from a Japanese guy. So the history is pretty interesting. But yeah, I started at Gracie Baja and I've been there basically the whole 12 years, and it's been amazing. I mean, I don't even. I mean, I could tell you my whole story from my beginning, or I don't know if you kind of want to chop it up. Maybe if you have any questions on anything in particular, or where you want me to kind of go with this. Otherwise, I could just kind of go on for a while
Yeah,
from where
just
I started.
definitely. You can talk about where you started because I think that it will be really beneficial for the listeners to know where you started so that they can kind of get an idea of where they're going to start. You know what I mean?
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah. So, like I said, when I started, I had no martial arts background whatsoever, and it was very intimidating because I really got into it because of the UFC. I was starting to watch the UFC, and a lot of the fighters were using jujitsu, and basically back then is if you didn't know jujitsu, you weren't going to go get far in the UFC because most of the fights would end up in a grappling or some type of wrestling situation in which the guy that knew jujitsu was going to win. And if you watch a lot of the old UFCs, like the very first ones, there was uh, the original. I forget who it was. I think it was it Hoist or Hoyler Gracie maybe. I forgot who it was, but he started and he was dominating everybody. He went in there. He was kind of a smaller guy, but he was dominating guys that were twice his size, going undefeated, just tapping everyone out. And it got really, really popular. And that's when and after that, that's when I really wanted to get into it. So I went there, went for a class, and you start off, obviously, you're a white belt. And what they do is they teach you a lot of fundamentals. And, after you do about 20 classes, then you'll get a little promotion. And then from there, you can actually start doing the more advanced classes where you start grappling, like live grappling with other students. And so that what basically that means is you do live training. You're actually one-on-one going like fighting against that person. And when I first started, when I was watching the students live grappling, that was super intimidating, man. Especially if you have no martial arts background whatsoever. Like you go in there and you think, shit, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. And having that in your head is very it's very heavy because you're unsure. There's a lot of uncertainty there, and you're not really sure what you're gonna do, and you're scared you may get hurt. And so just to have just that mindset of overcoming that, I think that itself will just build a lot of masculinity inside of you because you're overcoming a huge challenge just right there to go step into that new arena that you're not used to. And so for me, just the decision to go through it and make it through the first couple months was probably one most transforming things I've ever done because it put me over that barrier of doing something I was completely afraid of, and I just overcame it by just forcing myself to go. And and after that, I just developed it. It became a habit to me. I just kept going no matter how shitty it felt. Because there was so many days where I was just like, God damn, I don't want to train, man. Because I know I would go up against even just a blue belt. And the first time I live grappled, I got tapped out hard and I got hurt. Like I think one of the guys that I went with hyperextended my arm at one point. But you just keep going. I mean, honestly, injuries aren't very often. Sometimes if you go with the wrong guy and he's kind of an asshole, sometimes that might happen. But you'll learn over time once you're there to you kind of gauge on who you're going to train with and who you're not going to train with. But over time, you start to build resiliency. You start to keep going. You start to work on your defense, and over time, you stop getting tapped out more and more often. And it's a really fun progression because you're starting to see that like, hey, like I can hang with the rest of these guys. And then after you get past that, you go on to the further belts, you get the blue belt, you get the purple belt, then you start working on more offense. You're like, okay, hey, look, now I don't now I just don't have to defend myself. I'm actually starting to develop like this offensive game, and you actually can start tapping people out too. And it gets it feels really good because you're just overcoming that part. And so for the anyone that's beginning, I would suggest it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very difficult at the very beginning. But if you stick with it, I guarantee, and if you make it a habit, it's going to be one of the best decisions you ever made in your lifetime. And I think jujitsu is a really great martial art because um, it teaches you a lot of discipline and the fact that it takes a long, long time to progress and to get to the end. Like it takes on average 8 to 10 years to get a black belt versus a lot of these other martial arts that I think you can get your black belt maybe a couple 2 to 3 years, like karate or taekwondo. So it really teaches you some discipline and how to stick through things and how to make it through adversity.
Yeah, man. Anything that's a real challenge, I love to sign up for. And in fact, when I went to BJJ, uh, I was learning about side control and closed guard and the mount and closed guard. And it's like, it was all like new for me, but really what I was lucky, I was basically what happened was um the dude who I rolled with, he was really helpful. And he basically guided me through it on what to do. And so I was really glad that he showed me what to do, and the reason is, I mean, obviously, I just want to know what the fuck I'm doing. Because if you don't know what you're doing, then you're gonna have no confidence when it happens in real life. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
in in my opinion, uh, learning these moves, especially when it goes on the ground and you have to get into that leg lock. You know what I mean? And you kind of have to know what to do. So what I've learned is that this can help in terms of confidence. Like I already just felt better after attending that first class. Like it, that's just from my experience. So
Yeah, and also, man, just the thing is, like, for me, before, like I said, this, I've never had any martial arts background, and when you're not a formidable person, or a formidable man at least, then you're not gonna have a ton of confidence. I mean, you could just have this fake confidence where you're just projecting, thinking you're a badass, but
right,
the first moment you get in a fight and someone knows something, like, you're gonna get totally fucking beat down, you know?
yeah,
And so when you develop the skill and you're going and you're actually putting yourself in these difficult situations and life situations and these
hmm
hard ass rolls and grapples with the other guys, you're developing this almost, it's like a sixth sense in terms of and this muscle memory that you get to just carry with you throughout your daily life. So once I got even to, like, probably late blue or purple belt, like, I just had this confidence about me that I was like, look, man, shit, nobody can fuck with me, you know?
hmm
And you can just carry that out in the world, and you do carry it out in the world
yeah,
because you're going out there and you're like, look, if someone messes with me, it's just like, I could just take them out so easily.
yep,
And there's been a couple situations in my life where, when I was out, and and the thing is with jujitsu, it's great. It teaches you to be humble. You don't go out there and look for fights, but if one happens, you can take care of it.
mm,
And I've had situations where I've been out with a couple friends of mine, and you know I was out one time at a club, and some guy was being very disrespectful to me and my friends, and then he ended up punching one of my friends in the face, and so I ended up right away got the guy in a rear naked choke, and I
mm.
had him in a tight grip, and within seconds the guy was like passing out, and then one of his friends had to jump in and apologize. He's like, hey, it looked like my friend's drunk, like he didn't mean anything. He's like, please just don't mess with it, don't hurt us anymore. And they apologized, and then and then they ended up leaving. But just knowing that, and and for me, it was instinctual because I've been doing it for so long. It's just like you know what to do in these bad situations because you've done it for so long, and you don't freeze up. Because I
Yeah,
know for sure, if, like, you don't have any fight experience, and it's like, you could just freeze up, you don't know what to do. But when you've been grappling for as long as I have, you spend out thousands of hours on the mats. It's like it becomes second nature to you, like when you're dealing with someone or if you're in a fight.
hmm
So, and yeah, it just gives you this an aura of confidence that you wouldn't ever have if you never trained, or just knowing you're a dangerous person.
yeah, man. You know, I know I attended only two classes so far, but honestly, I still feel better. Like I still have a lot to learn, like a lot to learn. And in fact, to give the listeners some context, Mike is a black belt. I am nowhere near the level he is. So, uh, really, you guys, there's one thing I have to say about learning BJJ. That is, your ego doesn't mean shit when you go in and you start rolling. And if you think that you're all hot shit, you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah,
And
you have to not have an ego whatsoever in
yeah,
jiu-jitsu,
yeah, it's
because you're gonna get injured yourself too. Like,
mhm.
because a lot of guys, they'll do that. They'll have an ego and they won't tap, or they think they can get out of something, and then they'll end up hurting themselves. So yeah, definitely. Also, BJJ is something that can help you work on your ego too, because I know
Yeah, it's an
That's
ego
a that's a
check.
crutch. Yeah, it's a crutch for a lot of people is their ego. So
Yeah, and so, I've worked out for years, but as I've noticed, here's something I've realized. This is just my own realization. That is when when that guy's on top of you, right? It does help to actually know how to bench some weight because when he comes down on you, you can push him off, you know? Because
mhm.
you can push off the guy like off your body when you want to defend yourself, and then you have your knees like go right up against his chest so that he doesn't
Mhm.
come down at you. Get I'm actually basically describing this over video on Zoom, so the listener can't really know what I'm talking about. But like what this is all about here is basically when the dude's on top of you, you want to like bring. Basically, it's like that leg lock. But then, if he ever tries to come in and to attack you, you can bring it together, and then he
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. You bring your leg in, and
Yeah,
that's a very common defense. It's actually called a knee shield. It's actually you put your leg up, and then
yeah,
you shield there from them coming in. It's called a knee shield. It prevents them from passing your guard because that's one of the the main objectives in jiu-jitsu is passing somebody's guard basically to get to the more advantageous positions. And so if you can if you can block that, prevent that from happening, you're going to basically be impenetrable. Like nobody can even really get to you,
yeah,
which is really good. But yeah, like having strength is definitely important. So you definitely would want to work out because I mean, if you think about it, so you have two black belts completely equal. The guy that is weighs 40 pounds more is gonna be better. Obviously, it's just like the UFC. It's like that's why they have weight classes. So definitely, it's good to work on your strength, but at the same time, knowing jujitsu, being a black belt that weighs maybe 150 versus some guy that's 200 pounds that doesn't know anything. I would definitely bet on the 150-pound guy.
oh yeah. And the other move that I learned from that dude who taught me, basically, when you're on top of the dude, right? What what he said is you want to bring it like your knees on the floor, right? But then you put your foot out to the side, and then you grab his clothing, right? And then you want to come down like on him into that choke. I don't really know the term right now, but like basically what I remember is you come down forward, and then you kind of have to move your foot up, right? It's like that your your left foot is out, and then
Hmm.
after that you have to bring your other foot over and then go around so that you can like grab a hold of him, and basically you've gotten him into submission. So that's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the beauty about jujitsu is there's thousands and thousands of different submissions, and there's more developing as time goes on. Like jujitsu is an ever evolving sport, which is what's beautiful about it. Like people are inventing new things and coming up with new techniques, and you see it if you follow jujitsu. You just follow some of the big names, or follow some of the championships that go on. You'll see that people are coming up with new different things. Um, like there was, there's X guard, there's spider guard, there's someone started developing a worm guard, and now Gordon Ryan's making full mount popular again, and just it's called the smother choke now, or the the smother tap is basically when you get on mount on them and you
yeah.
basically smother them with your weight and they tap from that. I mean that's something that is seems like it wouldn't be that new, but it's it's like just starting to come out again. Or like I don't even know if anyone ever did that in the past, but it seems like it's something so simple because the mount has been around since jiu-jitsu started. But there's one guy that now has been tapping everybody out with just that specific technique, and so something new is always being invented, which is it's so cool to see. And a lot of these techniques will work. Like I'll see a technique and I'll go into training and I'll try it, and you'll catch somebody because nobody's seen it before. But then over time, people will learn, and then they'll learn defenses from
Right.
that. So it's really cool. It's always evolving. The jiu-jitsu game's always evolving, which is another reason why I like it. It doesn't ever get boring to me. And so if you're looking for something that you can do that's healthy, that it's a good workout, builds self-defense, that doesn't get boring. A lot of just lifting weights can get boring sometimes, or just running can get boring sometimes. But jujitsu is something that, for at least for me, it's just never boring. It's always fun.
Oh,
It's always like a chess match, a physical chess match.
definitely. You know, when I was attending the classes, I'm just really grateful that he was such a big help, because you were saying how there were assholes that can try to like basically be better than you kind of thing, like that
Mm,
having that annoying ego, if you will. I mean, it's when it comes to BJJ, as we were both saying already, like I think it's really important to just put your ego away, because when it comes to rolling in with like a black belt like Mike right here, like he comes in and he starts teaching. I mean, I don't know if you've ever taught BJJ, but I think you should if you haven't. But really, I think that a lot of dudes should basically consider doing this, because not only can it improve your confidence, it can improve your masculinity, and more importantly, as what I've found is, I just think that it can also basically harden you the fuck up.
yeah.
And and more importantly, when I was rolling with that dude, uh, I I just remember him teaching me all the moves, but it was also a lot to digest. So I want anyone out there who is considering to do BJJ is to just don't quit, because I'm gonna go back. I mean, I'm 100% going to go back, uh, and I'm also going to be coming down to Florida soon, which would we should definitely consider catching up and maybe meet up when I'm down in Florida. But
Yeah, definitely.
what what I was really saying is, I think that this is hands down one of the best activities to learn for any guy out there that is looking to get a more masculine mindset, as this show is called. Because really, when it all boils down to it, I think that BJJ is a fantastic way to harden up, be a man, uh, and just know how to take care of yourself out in the real world when you think that shit's gonna hit the fan. Like as Mike just said, there was an incident where his friend got punched in the face. So
Right. This
that
happened. It's happened more than once too. So just having that knowledge is good. And another thing that's really good about jujitsu is that there's a lot of camaraderie with it. You'll develop a lot of close friendships with the guys that you're struggling with and that are kind of growing alongside you. And I think that's another one very important factor for all men to have, is to have a good group of guy friends that they can kind of lean on and struggle with. I feel like that develops a lot of brotherhood. And so if you don't have that in your life, jujitsu is a really good way to get that brotherhood in your life. I think that's huge for men too. Um, and and I know Bedros. I don't know if you've heard of Bedros Keuilian, but he's one
Oh, I
of one
love
of
him,
the
dude. He's awesome.
yeah. He talks about this actually. He says you need to have a core group of good guy friends you can do that with and struggle with. And I think he even has a program where he puts you through like a hell week or a gauntlet where you guys struggle with guys and then you kind of do that. But I feel like jujitsu is already like that. You go in there and you're just fucking, the other guy's struggling because you've been there. When you go in there and you're a white belt and you have all of these heavy thoughts on your head and you're like, oh fuck, I don't want to go train today God, every day you're having the same thoughts in your head. You know the guy next to you is going through the same exact shit, but you're both doing it. You're sucking it up. You're fucking being a man. You're going in and putting in the work, making the habit. And then, for me, like just time flew, man. 12 years later, got my fucking black belt. And
It's awesome,
probably
man.
one of the biggest achievements of my lifetime. So uh, just stick with it. And you know, there's so many different lessons you can learn from it. One of them being consistency and persistence will bring you good rewards in life. So
You know, it's funny you mentioned Bedros, dude. There was a recent podcast I heard. I just want to do a quick shout out to Bedros. Something that he said that I really liked a lot is the most aggressive man is actually the most calm and reserved. I
right,
love that because when you know how to control your quote unquote monster inside yourself, like Jordan Peterson also says, but when
right,
you're really aggressive, you that in my mind is the most calm dude because of the fact that if you know how to tap into that warrior type of aggression, right? When you're rolling in on uh, BJJ, or even like when I'm lifting weights, for example, it's like the most calm dude is the most aggressive and can literally be the most violent. If you know what I mean? So
right. Yeah. Well, you know what I think really develops that skill too is BJJ develops it so well because it's not like you're just going in there and you're just being super fucking aggressive. It's because you're going in there and you're getting the humbled the hell out of. Like
yeah.
you go in there and you're gonna get humbled, like
Hmm.
hard, like no matter I don't care who you are. If you've never done it before, you go to any BJJ gym, you're getting humbled and you're getting humbled for a long time.
Hmm.
And so I think being humbled, it kind of develops that mindset in you that like, look, like once I develop these skills, even though I'm going to be a monster, I'm going to know how to control it because,
Exactly. Yeah.
because you're that person that you went through that, you know what it's like to be on the other side, to get humbled. And so you're not going to treat people with disrespect and like fuck them up just because you can. It's because you were on that side before, you've suffered. And so you're not going to treat people like that. And I think it, kind of develops that mentality too, is the fact that you are getting humbled. It kind of makes you have this sort of like compassion, or I don't know if that's what you call it, but some compassion for others. And you're not just a dick, you're a fucking monster, but you know how to control
Yes, that's precisely what Jordan Peterson said. It
it.
was like you have a monster inside yourself. Know that he is there, and only when you know that he is there that you can control it. And I
Hmm.
actually said that on one of my other previous podcasts, "Why Women Are Turned On by Killers," which, by the way, you guys, in case if any if you guys are listening for the quote unquote woman stuff, I'm telling you the truth. Like I've even been noticing that women do find it very attractive when you can defend yourself in a fight, hands down.
No, 100%. Yeah. The girls love that, man.
Yeah,
They find it really hot, really fucking hot. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, yeah, my girlfriend, when I let her know and I just finished jujitsu, she's like, "Oh, did you kick some ass?" I'm like, yeah. Like, I don't know. She fucking enjoys it. She's like, "Yeah." It's like, she's like, "I want to go watch you sometime." I've had a couple girls I've dated come watch me, and they've all just, they love it, man. It's like that testosterone and that masculinity. It's just
Hmm.
they're attracted to that subconsciously. It's like they might not even say it, but they see a guy that is tough and fucking hard, but he can control it. That's such a turn on for them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for the last 8 minutes of this podcast, I'd like to actually transition over and talk a little bit about dating and whatnot. So, what have you noticed, Mike, when you go to BJJ? How does it translate? Like when you're spending time with your girlfriend, how does she respond when basically you've finished your BJJ class, and she wants to come see you. Like I guess my real question is, how how does it translate over into the dating part of it, and have you noticed that it has really helped in terms of that masculine feminine polarity? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has. I don't know if it's like been a direct, like observable direct translation where it's like, oh, okay, well, I just trained and now a girl wants to fuck me after I finish training, you know? It's more of like subtleties that you develop just by training in jujitsu so for a long time. And so that over time when you're training, you definitely feel like you develop more confidence, you become more masculine, you're more sure of yourself, you handle situations differently, you know, you're not scared, you're not as anxious in certain situations. And I think that kind of translates when you're with your girl or with your woman. You can It makes you more dominant, you know,
Yeah,
you become a better leader,
yeah.
you're just more comfortable in situations. Like if you're out and you're in a bad situation, you're not scared. They're like, whatever, like, yeah, whatever, I'll protect you, don't worry. You know, there's been
That's what
times
I meant,
where,
is being the protector. Yeah.
right, yeah, there's been times where we're out and we're walking around and she's like, oh, I'm scared. And then she's like, oh, and then she says, well, it's cool. She's like, I forgot you're a black belt, so I don't have to worry. You know, she'll say stuff like that. And just the fact that she knows that, you know, just like I said, it's a lot of it subconscious too, where she's just automatically attracted, or something about it is just you know, is very attractive to her. And you know, even on my Instagram before, I would post a couple how to have a couple posts about jujitsu, and you know, I think even that's just very attractive too, because it's like a subconscious thing. It's like, oh, this guy knows martial arts, you know, because when girls are analyzing you, they're always analyzing the big picture. You know, like what do you have, kind of
Yep.
qualities do you bring to the table. Like for you, I'm sure you have a lot of fitness stuff on your profile, and you do a
Yep.
lot of training, and I'm sure like, you know, the girls love that, man. They all the muscles bulging out, man. And so
Right.
yeah,
Right.
when you have that, you know, they can see an overall picture. It's like, oh, this guy works out. Oh, this guy hangs out with a lot of girls. There's a lot of pre-selection there.
Yep.
Oh, he's doing a lot of cool shit. He's traveling the world, you know. So overall, all that adds together, and just jujitsu is just another you know, another tool on your tool belt that you can have when it comes in terms of dating. And you know, it's not something that I'll just like, I'll tell a girl right away, like, hey, guess what? You know, I'm black belt. You know, I would never suggest
Well, yeah.
you doing
Exactly.
that. You know, your communications with women always have to be subtle. You can never be direct with how you communicate, what you want to portray to them. It all has to come out naturally. She has to find out either through somebody else or just through your
The
lifestyle. You can
truth
never
will
bring
always
it up.
reveal itself, right?
Right? Exactly. The truth. You have
And
to let the truth reveal itself. Can never talk about it. But once it does reveal itself, you know, it's super attractive because, for example, I hang out with a couple friends of mine. We'll go downtown and I'll meet a new group of girls or something. And over time, I'll never bring it up, but over time, after a couple hours, I have this guy that's like, he's real like proud that he's hanging out with a black belt. He'll always bring it up. He'll like, oh yeah, guess what? Like my friend Min's a black belt. And, like you can see it in the girls' eyes. They're always so like impressed
mhm,
by it. You know,
yeah,
like they won't say anything, but they'll just you could just see the twinkle in the eye when they find out something
the
cool
dilation of
about
the
you. Yeah,
pupils.
the dilation
Yeah.
of pupils. It's like, oh, okay. Or like they find out you have a lot of money or something, you
So
know, like
really, what I was getting at throughout this entire question is, I
hmm
wanted the listeners to really uh, understand that when you learn BJJ, you are the protector of the ones you love and care about.
hmm
And
100%, man. Yeah.
yeah, and so that was kind of like what I'm getting at here, because when you learn BJJ, you will not only be the protector of like your girlfriend or like whoever you're dating, but you'll be the protector of even your own family. Like the
Yeah.
other day, okay, this is a true story. I have to wrap this up because I have about 2 minutes left. But um, here's what happened. There was a coworker named Jillian. She said, "There's this guy out here, Adam, that just gives me the creeps, and he tends to look at me in a very weird way." And I had that fire again, man, that I always tell you about, and
Hmm.
I just felt like that power, like I just wanted to like basically protect her from harm. So in a way, this me going to BJJ is going to help me tame that power that I have because I just get like this rage inside my skin when a woman says that because I'm like thinking, why do guys have to act like this in front of girls? They're fucking pigs, you know?
Yeah.
And I just have that instinct to want to protect, you know? And it's like, fuck these assholes. Like, why do they have to stare at women like that? It's not cool. But
Dude, most men don't know what they're doing, man. Especially if they're acting like that. Well, the creeps definitely don't know what they're doing, but even the guys that are, they try to be, like the what do they call it? They're not even alpha. I wouldn't even say they're
yeah,
alpha. What do the marks call them? They're the ones that are just kind of like chads. They just try to puff up their chests and act like they're
show
hard.
crystals.
Yeah, the ones that act like that, it's just not even attractive to women. It's like,
Yeah,
bro, relax. Like, what are you trying to do? But yeah, I
yeah.
totally understand that.
So I just that's really like my biggest motivator to want to keep going back to BJJ because I can't fucking stand creepers. They piss me off
Yeah.
because it's like it gets under my skin. Stop staring at women like that. It's gross. But I have less than a minute left, so I'm going to actually say this really quick. Everyone, leave me a 5-star review. I appreciate you. I will provide the Limitless Nootropics link in the show notes. And Mike, I appreciate you for coming on. You are the man. You are the BJJ champion. Keep
Of course,
crushing.
brother. All right. Talk to you soon.